Well, hello there. You're very welcome to the NSYNC UK Space Cowboys podcast. We're so pleased that you've joined us today. And boy, do we have a cracker of an episode for you. Alongside myself, Sam, I've been joined by Maggie and Verena. Hello, girls.
Hey
Hello again.
Sam.
Here we are
Hey
Hello.
again.
everyone.
We're back again. Are you managing to stay warm in this cold weather?
Not really.
Just about.
Okay, well, keep
It's
wrapped
very
up.
cold here right now.
I've got my Justin sweatshirt on
Oh,
to
that's
keep
going
me
to keep you
warm.
warm. Yeah, love it, love it. And look, we're actually going to be talking about playing with fire again today. So hopefully the thoughts of fire will warm us up and get that cold away. I guess questions for you guys. Are we all still listening and obsessed with playing with fire?
100%. I think it played
Yeah,
Yes.
twice in my house today. Plays every single day. So, when
yeah,
I'm doing my cleaning, but also when I'm sitting and relaxing, because it's really good for both things, like just taking it in over headphones, but also I have it playing when I'm, mopping my kitchen floor. And so I just
Yes.
all the time.
yeah,
My
yeah,
my
exactly.
s- my son who's 3 started singing Broken the other night, and that's when I knew I've been playing it way too much.
No, you got to love it, and it has to be on repeat. And I think we're all singing along. So I love the fact that the families are getting involved too. Have we also gotten over how amazing a guest Cardi was on our last show
Oh
as well?
God, they were so much fun. I really
Yeah,
hope if you haven't listened to our episode with Cardi yet, please go back and listen to it because we laughed a lot and yeah, they were absolutely amazing.
yeah, absolutely agree with that. Go and have a listen, but don't do it just yet
No,
because I
not right now.
mentioned playing with fire, and we have another super episode today, guys. Another playing with fire special. Um, we're actually very delighted to welcome a special guest to join the three of us. Um, Lily Elise to the show. Now, Lily is an incredible artist and performer who plays the role of Elizabeth on the Playing with Fire album. And her voice brings so much depth to this project that we're so excited to get to know her better and what her experiences are. So, Lily, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you
Welcome.
for having me.
Hi.
Welcome.
Woo.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Not as cold as you guys. It's like 79 degrees in Los Angeles.
Oh,
But
okay.
Oh.
inside, I have the AC going, so I'm wearing a sweater anyways.
Okay.
Okay. You're with us in
Sorry.
spirit then. I mean,
Yeah, just imagine you're here.
we're
Yeah,
with
we
Yeah.
you.
will.
We very rarely get temperatures that are lovely and warm over here. So I think we're always going to be infinitely jealous of the LA sun and the weather.
The
Mm.
But
grass is always greener because, yeah, seasons are cozier, when
Yes.
it's cold.
Yes, it's
yeah,
true.
exactly. And by the way, just before we get started, you've just come off, was it last night or the night before? You were performing with Gwen Stefani on the Tonight
Yeah.
Show with Jimmy Fallon. And that,
Yes.
how amazing. We just had to start by saying how fantastic that performance was. How was it for
Oh,
you?
thank you. It was so fun. It's like, it's always a little anticlimactic because you wait all day long and then you do a 3-minute thing and then it's over.
Yeah, I
Oh.
imagine.
So,
Yeah.
but it's really cool. It's fun.
Yeah, you've been traveling with her for a while. Have you been doing a few different shows and appearances with different things?
Yeah, she's doing some promo. So we did like last week in New York, we were just doing a couple different shows and then she ended up just last minute throwing up a pop-up show for her biggest fans. So it was like only 400 people
That's
and she was kind of
oh.
like describing each song as she went. So that was like really, really cool. She doesn't usually do anything like
Yeah,
that.
that's fine. That sounds fantastic though. And so thank you for joining us because I'm sure things are going crazy hectic for you. And obviously with playing with fire, there's been such a reaction, which we'll get on and talk about as well, because I'm sure you've obviously got some experiences from the kind of fan reaction to that. But yeah, I wanted to say thank you for joining us and how we tend to get to know our guests is we tend to start I want to say start at the beginning, but I feel like I can't say the beginning when we're talking to you because we want to sing it. And I daren't do that because we've all tried to sing your parts again, as I'm sure we'll come on to. um, but we do like to start at the beginning because we want to get to know you, Lily, as much as we want to find out about, your experience with the Playing with Fire album. It's always great for us to understand more about you and what your background is. So if that sounds cool to you, then I guess we'd just love to know really about how your musical journey started and when you got into singing and writing.
Okay, well, I've been singing pretty much my whole life. Not necessarily professionally, but just always singing, wanting to put on little shows in elementary school and stuff like that. And then in high school, I joined an a cappella group, which was before that, I was just kind of doing local musical theater stuff. And once I joined that a cappella group, I was kind of realizing how you can be on stage singing without playing a character. Like you can just be yourself on stage. And I was like, that's cool. I want to do that. So I went to music college in Los Angeles, and it was the first year of this pop program at USC, the University of Southern California. And so it was really, really small. There was only like 20 kids in the program. And um, from there, I met someone who was working with casting for The Voice, which was also the first season of The Voice US. And so ended up making it through pretty far on that. And I'm just paraphrasing my whole life. And and then after doing that show, I started writing. So I was writing for other artists, just in the studio a lot with producers. And that's how I met Jimmy, just doing writing sessions to pitch for artists. And that's how I met JC, through Jimmy. We were just doing writing sessions together. And yeah.
And here we
And the
are.
rest is history.
And
The
here we
rest is history, yeah.
That takes us up today. I mean, we were looking at, Lily, at some of your music and obviously having a listen to your own tracks. And what we really noticed is how, I guess, diverse the genres are that you kind of perform and work across, spanning across pop and R&B and EDM as well. And I guess that takes quite an adaptation, does it, to work and stretch yourself and express yourself across such different genres.
Yeah, I feel really lucky to have a voice that's malleable in a way, to a point, obviously, but to where I can emulate a lot of different genres, and I love a lot of different genres, so it's super fun for me to do it. Um, and I think when I was younger, I really saw that as a curse because I wanted to have my own sound and I wanted to be an artist like at that time. So I was like, what's my sound? I don't even know, because I could just make whatever sound, kind of.
Yeah,
Obviously.
Adaptable.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
but after I did The Voice, I kind of realized that I wasn't super happy being in the limelight in that way. It's just it like stressed me out, and it wasn't really my personality to be like,
right.
so look at me all the time.
Mhm.
So I really wanted to just find a way to make a living doing what I love without being like that center of attention all the time. And so it actually was a gift that I was able to kind of sound like a lot of different
Yeah,
genres, because I'm able to work in a lot of different
yeah.
genres.
Do you come from a musical family, or was it just you singing, or?
Um, my dad was a contractor, and my mom works in software data. So they were very much like,
Different.
what?
Ah.
What are you gonna do? My dad is a really good singer, but he has stage fright like to the max. He will like never sing in front of anyone.
Oh, wow.
So it's sad, but yeah, he's a really good singer. I have a little clip on my Instagram where I got him to sing with me one time, where I'm just kind of playing piano and we're like doing this little duet. It was the only time I could ever get him to do anything. Um, Maybe I didn't tell him we were recording, so he thought we were just singing in the living room.
Sneaky.
Yeah. But he's a really good singer. And like way back in my family somewhere, there's like opera singers and stuff, but I think they're like great uncle, or I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's in your genes then.
I think
Somehow.
there's something
Yeah,
going on.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Exactly. With all of those genres we were talking about, did you have any influences then? Like were your musical influences kind of inspired across those sections of music types that you were interested in?
Yeah. When I was young, I mean, when I was really young, it was like, it was like early 2000s. So the pop was everything. Pop was king.
Yeah.
And I loved Destiny's Child, Christina Aguilera, Mariah Carey. I was really into the like singing of it all.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, fantastic.
know.
And then obviously Christina, that you mentioned The Voice just a second ago. You obviously ended up on Team Christina,
Yeah,
on The Voice. That must have been a
wild.
really special and crazy moment to have been influenced by her and maybe admired her growing up, and now all of a sudden here you are
Oh
working
yeah,
together.
absolutely wild. I like blacked out the first time I met her. Like, I don't have any memory of it. I could watch the video back. I'm like, don't remember being there. Like it's gone.
I can
Crazy.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who were the other judges in that season?
It
Isn't it
was
Blake Sheldon?
Christina. Yep, Blake Shelton, CeeLo Green, and Adam Levine.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. That must have been an amazing experience.
Yeah. And then now it's like there's a couple things that have happened with Blake and Gwen of just like doing duets too. So I'm like, everything just comes full circle, comes around. Life's crazy.
Mm.
I'm very
Yeah,
lucky.
it does. You're actually our second voice and Team Christina guest we've had on the show, because we had Tony
No,
Luca on.
Tony was not Team Christina. Tony was Team
No,
Adam.
yeah,
Oh, so our second voice, the voice
yes.
participant, but different rival teams,
Yeah.
albeit the year
They
before
were
you.
rivals.
And
Yeah,
the
they
year
were.
before though, I think he was on, wasn't he?
Hmm.
Fun. I was on season 1, so
I think he was he was a bit later, I think.
Oh, maybe he
there's
was in
been
season 2.
Yeah.
Two or
a
three,
lot of
maybe.
seasons.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's been so many
Still
seasons.
going, isn't it?
It
So,
is still going.
Yeah, crazy.
Um, that you mentioned that obviously that must have been such a good experience, and although you've learned a lot from it, coming out of it, I guess that has all been valuable to your development as an artist and making sure you end up in the right place that you feel the most comfortable in.
Yeah, I mean, at the time I had never really done anything professional
Mm.
to that level. So it was just I mean, at the time it was like my eye was twitching for like 3 months straight. Like I was so overwhelmed by it all.
Yeah.
And I was also 19 at the time, so I was young. I was trying to figure everything out. But it really did get my foot in the door to do studio work because before that I was like, "Hi, I'm this girl and I like to sing." People are like, "Kay," like, but
mhm.
when you come off of a show, there's some sort of accolade there that people are like,
Yeah.
"Okay, we'll give this a chance." And I was able
Yeah.
to like build a network through that, so that was really valuable. And I've met some of my best friends to this day. Like one of my best friends was my roommate on The Voice because we all shared hotel rooms.
Nice.
Oh, so cool.
So yeah, so like I mean, it's just a life experience that I would never take back.
Hmm.
Um, People sometimes ask me would I do it again? I'm like, I don't want to do it a second time, but I would like I
Do it
wouldn't
for
take
the
it
first
back,
time
but
again. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we go through these experiences because they are, like you say, they're so impactful on our career. And I think even though you may not go back and do it again, what you took from it is fantastic. And then to, I think, find your passion in other ways as well is such a beautiful thing to take from
So
something
just
like that
stepping
experience.
stones leading you somewhere, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, isn't it?
Totally.
Exactly. Yeah. But when it
Yeah.
comes to
And
your songwriting, what's your approach to that? Like how did you kind of start to move into that and decide that actually this is something you really wanted to get more involved in?
at the time I was still like kind of going after an artist thing, releasing some songs
Mm.
because I think when you've had that dream for so long or that goal for so long, it's hard to shift out of it because you just you're continuing to follow it even though
Yeah.
you may not necessarily know why anymore. You just like this is what I've always wanted, so this is what I
Yeah.
need to do. And at the time it was like no one's going to write me songs, so I just had to write my own. And I'd been writing songs since I was like 11 or 12, but I never showed them to anyone because I thought that they sucked and I was embarrassed by them.
Oh,
Oh.
Looking back on them, I'm like, I think for a 12-year-old they were pretty good.
I bet
But
they were.
but yeah, so I started writing songs just trying to maybe meet producers who would be like, oh, I know we were writing this for someone else, but maybe you can keep, you know? And so that ended up happening with a few producers that I'm really close with now. One of them is Dan Nigro, who produced Olivia Rodrigo and Chappell Roan. So I'm really close with him. That's how I was able to work with those artists also. But yeah, with writing, I would say I am a singer first and a writer second. Like I
Yeah.
love to sing and I love to like I feel like that's my way to connect with people. Um and with writing, it's kind of like the vehicle to get to that connection, but it's
Mhm.
not the connection itself for me. If that makes any sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense.
Do you prefer to write by yourself or do you like to work with a co-writer?
I like to write with a producer, and I've done like a lot of co-writing. I do
Mhm.
like to co-write if it's the right, person and the right
Right,
energy and
yeah.
everything like that. Um, but I don't really produce tracks. Like I play a little bit of piano, but I don't like produce anything. So to have a producer who kind of like also gives ideas for writing or just a collaborative
Mm,
experience in that way is my preferred.
mm.
Someone like Jimmy.
Literally, I'm describing Jim.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Like, so Jimmy? Like, yeah.
With obviously the projects we've been speaking about thus far, like with Playing with Fire and Gwen Stefani, how much time have you been able to, I guess, focus on your own music and your own, performing your own songs when you're also so busy with all these other projects?
Well, let's see. So back in like 2000, I think 17, I was getting really, really overwhelmed. Like I had been putting songs out. They were like gaining some traction. Things were like going really well and everything was really stressing me out. And so I wanted to take a break. So I took a break from my manager at that time, who really was like, she was like a go-getter, gung-ho, like we gonna get this done. So I took a step back from that and took a little break. And once I was ready to like go again, both my grandparents passed in the span of like 10 days from each other. And it was just like
Oh, wow.
we were all so close. So it was a whirlwind kind of thing. And I basically for like a year was like in a deep depression of just like, why do anything? We're all gonna die, which is so wrong. I don't feel like that now, but like in that
I get
grieving, it
it
was really
though,
hard.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And so by the time I was ready to come out of that, and I was like, okay, I want to release some music. It's funny because every time I come out of it, I would text Jimmy, like, maybe we should release these songs because we have songs together that like we just never put out that I personally think are great. Um, and he'd be like, okay, cool, like let's do it. And then pandemic hit. So then it was like, I don't, yeah, I don't want to release songs that I don't put the right marketing behind or put the right push behind.
Mhm.
But then also they're just sitting on my laptop. So it's a give and take. But I do feel like I don't know. I think I would like to put music out again if it's in the right way, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. But I'm also so happy with where I am now with kind of like supporting other artists. And this Playing with Fire has been the first time in a long time that my voice has been featured on anything in this way. So it's been a little bit of a curve of like, I want to hide, trying to like force myself not to hide.
Mm, good for
And
you.
and we're messaging you, asking you to come on the podcast, so you can't hide.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, hide, hide. And Cardi's like, don't hide. I'm like,
But it's only because we've been so excited to hear this album, and I guess you guys must be so pleased with the reaction that it's been getting, and I think whilst you might want to hide, everyone's been saying such lovely things about you, and everyone is just blown away by your voice and your characterization of Elizabeth, and I think that whilst you might feel one way, it must also feel really wonderful to have such a reaction.
yeah, it's really nice. I mean, everyone's been so sweet online. Like, online is usually not a nice place. So
Yeah.
it's really cool. And I mean, I knew that if people heard and or hear this album, that they will like it. Like there's not, obviously everyone likes different things. So some people are not going to necessarily be like, this is what I want to listen to every day, but they're not going to, there's not a way to deny that it's good. It's an undeniably good
Yeah.
piece of work, you
Yeah.
know? So to me, I was like, if people hear it, they will like it. But that's the hardest part, is just getting people to click on the thing and listen to it. So obviously it's easier when you have someone like JC that has a lot of fans. And then, like you said earlier, like you don't know what to expect, but then once you listen to it, you're like, oh, this is cool, and you can get into it.
Yeah,
hmm
I think speaking from a JC fan point of view, it's a little bit like, I mean, we've been waiting for music from him for like 20 years. And, you know, when he announced this album, we didn't really know exactly what to expect, whether it's going to be him singing everything or him singing nothing, or, you know, we had no idea. And then when it turned out it's him and two other people, you know, I think the fans were kind of like a bit worried. I hope we're going to like the other people because we really want to hear JC. And he's put other people on the album, and who are they? And it's like, oh my God, it was a little bit, you know, I trusted Jimmy and JC, but at the same time, it's like, it was, you know, to start with, it was all about JC's project. But then when we all heard the album, and I think, well, we heard the little snippets before, right? And it's like, holy shit. Yeah, I think everyone who listened to the album was sold like instantly. Like
hmm
nobody actually wanted JC on the album alone anymore. It was like, because it, you know, obviously to tell the story, it needed several people. It couldn't just be him. But it took us that little journey to understand really what it was and, you know, how this was going to work out. So I think the entire JC fandom, or the entire NSYNC fandom, I think, you know, mostly the JC fandom is really so in love with this album. So I think it really worked out for everyone. You know, it worked out for
Yeah.
us, you know.
Well,
Just
I
so
was
you guys, no, you go ahead. Go ahead.
now I was gonna say I was surprised because I thought, okay, it's a musical album. I'll probably like it, but how often will I play an album that's a musical? It's not something that I would usually listen to. I honestly can't get enough. Like I just want to keep it on repeat. So that was a big surprise for me.
Yeah.
And maybe for other fans as well, because like Verena said, we didn't know how we were gonna take this album. We would have supported it either way, but for us to really embrace it like we have is amazing.
Yeah. I just to say that I heard all the songs with only JC. Like what you're saying, you're like, we want all JC.
Yeah.
I heard all the songs with only JC, and while he always sounds amazing, the storyline was confusing AF. I had no idea what was going on at any given time. I was like, wait, who's that character? And what's this character? Who's singing what? Like, confusing. So
I would love to hear the demo of Broken.
Oh God,
with,
yeah,
with
bring
just
the demos,
JC.
just for a laugh, really.
we should tell them to release it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be
They probably
amazing.
won't, but I'll tell them to.
Yeah, could
Yes.
you, if you wouldn't mind?
Like the fans want to hear you singing everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We want to hear him singing Elizabeth in particular.
For sure, yes.
Yes. He's so funny.
Yeah.
He's like, I was terrible. Like, what was he saying? He's like, no one wants to hear that. I'm like, they want to hear.
Hello.
We want to hear. And on the demos, you know, like at in hang on, something like Playing with Fire itself, when you have the little operatic section, was he doing that on the demo as well?
I don't think so.
Ah.
I think that in the moment when we were recording, I think that Jimmy was like, and then you're just gonna do this, and I was like, what? Like, because he wasn't really singing it how it would be, you know. So and then just do like ha 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 ha. I'm like, what? And so then he kind of flunked it out on the keys, like here's the notes, and then we did it like super slow, like. I was like, okay, like getting the notes down, and then yeah, was able to make it work. But I don't think they ever demoed that part.
No, okay, fair enough.
I think we should do a challenge where all the fans have to do that part. I was telling my family, like, the other night all my family was over and I was like, we should do one of those things where like they play the music and then like you go around in a circle and each
Oh
person
my
like
God,
Oh
that is
sing,
so
and
yes.
it's so
funny.
funny because no one can do it. That's like the funniest part of it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know,
Oh,
like
We
that's
should do it.
good.
we know we
Yes.
can't do it, but we have been trying to do it. So, and you're probably
Yes.
aware that everyone
It's
has been
find
trying
it.
to
That's
sing
the
along
best
with
part of
you.
the thing. Like that's what makes it amazing.
Oh, but Lily, if you do it with your family, because we can't do well, I can't do the duets with JC because I can't sing. But if you do a challenge where it doesn't matter if you're bad, because that's the whole point of it, then us fans who can't sing can also get involved with it. So
Yes.
please put
Okay.
it out. Do it.
Okay. I'm gonna talk to the social media gal and be like, this is what we're doing.
Do it,
Yes.
and then the Space Cowboys will do one.
Yes.
Okay, heck yeah.
Yeah, there you go. You got your first participants.
I just have to get my dad to, I'd have to trick my dad into it.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't tell him
Amazing.
it's recording.
Yeah, exactly. Just for fun.
So let's take it back to the beginning of Playing with Fire then. So you mentioned earlier that you already knew Jimmy through the other work you've been doing, and actually the JC as well. You've been doing some writing and work with him as well. How did they then first broach the subject of Playing with Fire with you, and what was that conversation and your reaction like?
I think Jimmy just texted me and was like, are you down to come put your voice on this musical that we're doing? Like, and I was like, sure. Because
Did you?
I've, you know, for me, it was just like a fun thing. Like, I was like, I actually had been talking to a friend earlier about how I wanted to do something besides music. Like, maybe I'll do a musical, maybe I'll do a show, like, just to do something that's out of my realm of like being so precious about it.
Mhm.
So I was like, something where I could just have fun and not be like so worried about what people think or if it's going to do well or whatever. And then this ended up happening. So
Wow.
it was really cool. But yeah, when he's like, oh, we're doing a musical, I was like, cool. I want to do musical stuff. But I never thought they're going to keep my voice on it. I always thought they just wanted to hear a female on it. And then, like, you know, as it went on, that they were going to, I don't know, cast somebody.
Well, thank
Yeah.
God they kept it on there. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully, yeah. Hopefully I get to do, if it ever goes live, I'll get to do something. But
Oh, we hope so
yes.
too.
Yeah, we keep saying that they've been talking about the fact that they're looking to do a concert maybe version in the next 6 months, and then obviously the ultimate aim of getting it onto Broadway or the West End. And what we've kind of said is we'll really struggle as fans now to hear other people singing it because we're so obsessed with the three
Yeah.
of your voices that that's who we want to hear and the way you sing
Mhm.
it. So if there is ever that opportunity, we'll be totally down for seeing you in the live performances.
that's really nice. That's how I feel about Wicked. I'm like scared to watch the movie because I love Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth. So I'm like,
Yeah,
I mean, they're amazing singers, Ariana and Cynthia, but I'm like, is it gonna
Yeah.
be the
Yeah.
same?
Yeah.
I know. We know what we know, don't we?
Yeah.
But that's what we'll be manifesting is to see you on that stage and
Yes.
particularly hopefully with this concert that they're talking about. And they're talking about this concert potentially being in London. And we were saying to Cardi, obviously them being based in the UK as well, how much we would love that. So
Yes.
we're literally
Yeah, I
crossing
think
fingers
both
and
Jimmy and
toes.
JC have been saying, that they're really going to try for London more than
Mhm.
even New York for the concert. I'm sure both, but yeah, they keep pointing out London. So yeah, we're really, really
Yes,
hopeful.
please. Yes,
All three
please.
of us are London based. So,
I'm with
but
you guys. I'm down. Fly me across the pond. Let's go.
yes.
Yeah, we'd love to have
Yes.
you here. Have you been to the UK before?
I have. I've been to London. Um, I want to say in like around maybe 2016, 2017, just like with my family on a trip.
Nice.
Yeah,
Cool.
Yes,
well,
all the
you're very
tourist
welcome.
destinations.
Of course, yeah.
Got to be done.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cool. So let's just think of just thinking about what you were saying about the guys getting you into the studio. to lay down your vocals on a few tracks, and you don't know whether or not they're going to keep you on. And I think the way they've told the story on some of their interviews is once they heard you, that was it. They couldn't imagine anybody else on there. And obviously the rest of the track was created and produced, and your vocals appear as Elizabeth. That the guys have been so sweet in what they've been saying about you. I don't know whether you've had a chance to watch any of the interviews they've been saying, but they've been so grateful that you've been agreed to take part in their project, because they're just so amazed by what you bring to the role.
They're so nice.
Mhm.
Whenever I've watched anything that they've said about me, I'm like, psh, like they're being so nice.
Yeah, they
But I
are. They're big
appreciate it.
sweethearts. Yeah, it
Yeah.
means so. And they are nice guys. What was it like
Yeah.
to work with them? Like obviously you knew them anyway. So when you're working on their kind of project and this baby of theirs, what was that like kind of creatively and in the studio with them, and how did they approach it with you?
Honestly, I think they really let me do, aside from some small notes, like pretty much what I wanted to do. Um,
Great.
I listened to what JC did. I tried to emulate what his phrasing was on those demos. And then, sometimes they'd be like, oh, this part should be really sweet, or this part should be really emotional. And they would kind of fill me in on the story of what's going on at that moment and what exactly we're trying to convey. And then, yeah, I got to just play. So it wasn't a lot of nitpicky, like sometimes when you go to record something, the producers will be like, okay, like do this word and then this word, get this word again. Like they're super nitpicky about everything. But this was, I think they wanted it to be more raw.
Mhm.
And there's parts in it that, are definitely not perfect vocally at all, that are very like emotional. And that's just the nature of emotion. Like it's not perfect and it's not going to sound perfect when you're having intense emotions. So, it's like,
It's funny because JC was saying that as well about his own vocals, that it doesn't always sound perfect in the album. I mean, for us, innocent bystanders, it sounds pretty perfect.
It does.
Mhm.
But I think it sounds the way it is supposed to sound. And that's what makes it perfect, I suppose, Hearing you
yes.
and him say like it's not really perfect, it's like talking about it's pretty close to perfect.
Spot on. Spot
Yeah,
on.
Yeah, perfection is in the eye of the beholder.
really,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it really is. With kind of getting into those storylines, like you say, there's some real difficult moments, and Broken, I think, is one of those songs. And you say the guys were feeding you information on the storyline so you could really feel that emotion. Did you kind of do any other preparation to kind of get used to knowing the storyline overall? Were you familiar with the story of Frankenstein and playing with fire? And did you kind of look into previous I guess more acting roles, I suppose, but of how Elizabeth has been depicted?
I probably should have.
That was a good idea.
I just think everything was a lot more chill when we were recording it, because it wasn't like this fully finished project that they needed to now put
Mhm.
someone on. It was just like, we were kind of recording stuff as they wrote it over the period of like a year or maybe more.
Wow.
And like I said before, it wasn't, I don't think, ever meant to be a final vocal. So it wasn't something where I was sent it beforehand. Like I just went into the studio, they played it for me a few times. I sang it down, you know, a couple times. Um, which again, I think leads to that rawness.
Yeah, it sounds so casual.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
does.
Mm.
yeah.
So that's probably why it came out so good in the end. Like maybe you didn't put too much pressure on it at the beginning because it did have this more casual approach to it.
Mhm.
Um, Even though the finished product from our side feels so polished and so thought out. And of course, we know that Jimmy and JC had been working on it for such a long time anyway. So of course there was a lot of thought into it, but this casual approach from your side probably lends itself to it becoming what it is today.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe so. But I knew the story of Frankenstein. Um, but on a surface level, now I obviously know way more.
Yeah, so do we. So do we.
It's the same for us, though. I mean, I think everybody grows up knowing the story of Frankenstein, but yeah, we know so much about it, so much more about it now, you know.
hmm
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly. And with the different tracks that you were singing and the stories that you were telling through the music, was there anything in particular that you found quite challenging, either within the story or actually just vocally with some of the things the guys were asking you to do?
Yeah, I mean, like you talked about with Playing with Fire, that opera part was the hardest
Yeah.
thing. I just, haven't done any classical singing in many, many years. So I was trying to pull from what I learned a long time ago in like a couple months of classical training that I had. Um, and yeah, there was no pre leading up to like, what am I trying to say? There's no him telling me, oh, make sure you come warmed up to sing classical today. Like I had no idea. I was just there and they're like, okay, we're doing this now. I'm like, oh, okay, let me do a little like so that was the hardest vocally. I think Broken for me was like I was so emotional specifically at that time because my sister was in labor. I had just found out on that day with my niece. And my niece is the first of like our next generation. No one else has
No.
babies yet. So we're all just like, what's gonna happen? It's scary.
Yeah.
And so getting in there and like reading the lyrics, I was like, this is like there was a lot of moments, I don't know if you guys ever feel like this in life, like when things are weirdly connected and you're like, this doesn't seem coincidental to me.
Oh, yeah.
Certain things,
Yes.
it seems like, oh, this is very meant to be. Like, I'm very emotional about childbirth right now, and I'm singing a song about a woman dying in childbirth, and like my sister is like about to go into it was very, yeah. So I was definitely crying at certain moments, like, and then I have to think about sports because that's for me that's the least emotional thing. So I'm like, how do I stop crying? Like, think about sports. I'm like, sports, height, 42. And I can bring it back and then I can bring the emotion to like a normal level.
Yeah,
But-
exactly. But they do you know what? Jimmy and JC, I think, would have been they told us that they didn't tell us, but they told someone and we heard it that it took them I think a month to write that song because they wanted to get it right and treat it so delicately. So they must have been obviously seeing your reaction. You tried to kind of rein it back in a bit. Must have thought, this is what we were trying to achieve ultimately, and this is what we want people to feel when they hear this song.
Yeah, and there's also like a line in there about men making decisions about women's bodies, which is like very timely for what was happening politically in our country at that time. So, and still is, unfortunately. But yeah, so all of the lyrics and it was just, for me, really intense.
It's so cleverly written, that song. Like the opening of it just hits me every time, and obviously your vocals on it just take it to the next level. It's my favorite song on the album for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are your guys' favorite songs?
Oh God, it changes every time I listen to it. It depends on the mood I'm in. You used to touch me is like when I'm feeling,
I knew that was going to be your favorite. You used to touch me.
Yeah,
it is
I don't
tricky,
know.
isn't it?
It just depends on the mood. The entire album as a body of work is. I don't think I have a favorite really. I never listen to just a song from the album. I always listen to the entire album, and I don't skip or I don't go back to one particular song. I have to listen to the entire story every time. So
I do that as well. I always start it from like, even if I'm halfway through it and I then go back to it, I always start from the beginning again.
yeah, I always want to hear the whole story.
Yeah,
you have to, don't you? And I think my favorites, like when I first heard it, it was 1 over R squared part 1. Then it was like, no, it's Playing with Fire. Then it was You Touch Me. But then like I was in the shower 2 days ago and in the morning, and of all the songs to come into my head, and I was suddenly singing to myself was I Found Death at the University.
I sing that all the time.
Yeah, me
Great.
too.
I'm literally like, I found them and they, there's
Yeah.
nothing. Like,
Yeah. I
But
love
I
it.
love the transition from one over R squared into that as well. So
Yeah.
when one over R squared finishes, I'm like, okay, yeah, I know what line's coming next.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's true. Do you know what I'm fascinated about? And I want to, I just hope if one day we can ask JC or Jimmy this, is where you have one over R squared part one, which is like really like upbeat and poppy, and then you go to this really kind of serious subject of I found death at university. And then it goes into part two of over R squared. And musically and the way it sounds is more akin to I found death at the university than it is to part one. But the lyrics
Yeah.
obviously repeat things of part one. So I'm so interested in how they and why they kind of developed it that way, and how it is more of a continuation of I found death at the university, even though it's part two
Mm-hmm.
of one over R squared.
Yeah.
I'd love to ask them that and kind of why
Yeah.
they did that in a good way.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. I honestly
Yeah.
can't speak for them, but I do think that they wanted to show the progression of Victor and Elizabeth's relationship, how it went from being like super sweet and playful to being more like, oh, what do you do? Like, bro, you're kind of crazy. Like,
Yeah.
and how that turned dark. And it's
Mm.
really such a touching story because yeah, she still loves him and stands by him, even though he's
Yeah.
like off the deep end.
Yeah. I think
But I
what
think, yeah, they wanted to show like this is the same relationship, but it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah. I think, you know, when we did our deep dive like 2 episodes ago, that's when we were kind of discussing that as well, how the tone changes like in their relationship. So think we came to that conclusion to what you're saying is just really to show how their relationship shifted. Like she started to see what was really going on and how he
Mm-hmm.
changed, you know, in what how his mission started and how it kind of progressed. So
Yeah, I think how it changed and then almost changed again, right? So there was
yeah,
one over R squared part two where she's kind of saying, you know, what are you doing? You're self-obsessed. And then later on there's playing with fire where it kind of similar message, but now his reaction's different. So initially he's like, no, I'm going to keep going on. And obviously we have the animation and father where he doesn't kind of heed her warnings from part two. And then once playing with fire comes and it then leads into Death of the Brides, that's when he's like, no, I can't do this after all. Actually, it's like his conscience, I think, or Elizabeth has got to him and finally made him see sense. So it's like you say, that tilt, and then it's that tilt back again, and that's why we're just so fascinated
Mm.
in the storytelling, and it comes across so well. I'm someone who really didn't know the Frankenstein story. I thought a lot of people did it at school, and for some reason I didn't. And the girls were only out, we were out for dinner, weren't we? And you were having to fill me in and go, well, who's this character? Who's this character? So that I could get up to speed before the album came out. But actually, the album does such a good job of explaining it anyway, and the storytelling is so clever, but also so clear.
yeah. And it also, there's a lot of time movement. So they're jumping back and forth in time. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they're thinking about like overlooking what they had done, you know, in retrospect, that
yeah,
type of stuff.
Yeah, I
So,
love that.
I mean, the first opening line talk about like you guys being excited to hear JC, and then like you hear me. That's like the very first line
Yeah, but
before
it
the
makes sense to us.
And it's
yeah,
perfect.
absolutely,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
so
at that point we
that is
knew
like
'cause
she's dead.
yeah, I mean, we'd seen the track list before the album was released. We knew, you know, who was going to sing what and everything. So when we first listened to it, we already knew it wouldn't be
Okay.
JC. So
Mm.
we were
And
prepared for that. And it was
Okay.
like,
yeah,
no, it
and
was honestly, I literally, because it came out at midnight here in the UK, right? And we all had our headphones on and we listened to it. And I think we all cried.
yes, we cried.
You know, at the first song, I think all of us cried, just realizing how, you know, we would be taken on a journey there, you know,
Mm-hmm.
listening. So
Yeah, and I think it's so great how they put Elizabeth at quite the center of the story, whereas I think most
yeah,
of the Frankenstein stories before that have come before, Elizabeth's always been just like an extra part. But in this one, we really feel her presence and how you know, how she affected Frankenstein and his decisions that he made and their relationship.
Mm.
And I feel that dimension is, yeah, it just made it even more special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was really conscious on Jimmy and JC's part for sure.
Mhm.
They wanted to make sure that like there was a female perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Lily, what was your favorite song? You asked us what ours was. What's your favorite song on the album?
There's so many.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll do this. I'll answer in two different ways. My favorite one, like to sing, and then my favorite one just in general.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
my favorite one to sing is Just a Dream. I'm like a ballad girl. I love a good ballad. It's so pretty. It's so sad. Love that one. And then my favorite one overall is No One Loves No One, which is like no one else's favorite but mine. But I just think that one, maybe it's because it was one of the first ones I heard that I wasn't on. Because I hadn't heard all the other songs. I just, had heard the ones that I was meant to sing. So we did like this showcase in Ojai. I don't remember if it was last year or the year
Yeah.
before. And that was one of the ones that we did. And I just love it. Like I think the melody's so nice and the loneliness,
Mhm.
like it's so tangible.
Yeah, that's such a
exactly.
great song.
Yeah, you know what? Although we didn't list it on our favorites, we did a one-word review of every song the first couple of days it came out, and for No One Loves No One, we said the word, or I said melody, and you just mentioned it then, and it's the bit I don't want to sing it because I can't sing it. It's
Oh my God, please. Okay, I won't look. I won't look.
no, but you need to cover your ears, not your eyes. The bit where it goes, oh, I can't do it.
You can do it. I'm not looking or listening.
Oh gosh, I've gone. Luckily, this is a podcast. I've gone so red. The bit where it goes, I can't do it.
Say the word. Just speak it. Just speak the word.
Oh, I'd be worse for the lyrics. It goes,
Yeah.
that bit. That's
Yes.
the bit I mean when I talk about the melody.
Yeah.
I love that. It's beautiful. So we're with you on that one, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a nice song.
Yeah, but every track we love, like we say, because there's just something different about them all. And it's funny you said about the timeline and it jumping backwards and forwards, because I don't even know whether this would reveal anything to me, but I've got this thought in my head that I need to print out the lyrics and reorder them in the order. And just so I can then see what the difference is, because when we were doing the deep dive, we were like, isn't it interesting how you notice the difference in the kind of aggression or anger, frustration in the creature versus Adam? And I'd love to see if it's set out in a linear line of time, if actually it is the case and it's soft, aggressive.
Mhm.
So I'd love to see. So I'm also really interested to have a bit of another look and see. It probably won't.
We
You
are
never
real,
know.
we are real geeks, aren't we? We
Yeah.
really
Oh, I
are.
know. Honestly.
Do you know what? I think my only criticism of the album is that I think Death of the Bride should have been longer. It's too short. I'm just
I
getting
think,
into it, and then it stops, and it's like,
yeah,
oh,
all the
come on, I want a bit
some of
more
the
of this.
songs, there's quite a few songs that could be longer. But I
Yeah,
guess on stage it will be different, right?
of
Because you'll
course.
have,
Yeah.
the obviously the actors kind of acting either side of
Yeah.
the song, so it will feel longer. But yeah, I wanted to ask, when did you hear Cardi? When was the first time you heard them on the song?
I think it was, I'm just so bad at remembering like what year anything happened, but it was towards the end of things finishing up. I think all the writing maybe was done at that point, if not like one more song or something. And I remember they had been looking for a vocalist. They tried like numerous vocalists on it. And I was just there. They were playing me some of the other stuff that day, like, oh, like listen to some of the other tunes, And they were like, "Oh, we got to get your opinion on like which singer should play Victor." And at that point, I didn't even know who was playing. I thought JC was playing Victor. I'm like, I don't know. So I was like, okay, I guess someone else playing Victor. And they played me, I think, two vocalists, and they're both absolutely amazing. The other one they played me was also amazing, but with Cardi's vocal, it has this like extra emotionality to it there's growl, there's rasp, but only like when they're trying to give
Yeah.
growl and rasp. Like they have such immense control over their instrument. Like I can hear that from singer to singer of just like everything that you hear was very purposeful on their part. It wasn't just like, oh, I guess this is how it sounds. You know, it's like, oh, I'm going to put rasp here. I'm going to put growl here. I'm going to put this part will be clean. This part will be hot. Like everything purposeful. So
Yeah.
as soon as I heard Cardi's voice, I can't remember which song it was. I want to say it was How Do You Sleep? I could be wrong. But yeah, as soon as I heard their voice, I was like, that is that. You're
That's
not
the
gonna
one.
find someone better than that, in my opinion. Like, I don't care how famous they are. Like, that is a top notch, and that's a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You obviously haven't met Cardi yet because
Not in
everything was
person,
recorded. Yeah.
just
But you
online.
connect online. Yeah, I was gonna say, do you connect online and then reach out to each other and say, "Oh my goodness, what is going on here?"
Yeah, I think when they started releasing some of the promo material, I DM'd them and was just like, I hope you're ready because the fans are excited.
We are.
Yeah.
I hope you're ready because the NSYNC fans are crazy.
No, I was like, they're fired up. I was like,
Yeah.
they're fired up. Get ready.
Well, it's true. Like we say, 20 years we've been waiting, so we'd been
Yeah.
patient. So yeah, we were going to go for
Yeah.
it, but it was great. They were so complimentary about you as well. Because obviously Cardi mentioned to us that they hadn't met you, but said that you guys had been reaching out to each other, and I think obviously hearing your vocal, they were just blown away as well. And so that must have been great also for you, having heard their vocal during those kind of audition phases, to then actually hear their vocal with yours, and how you have so many tracks together. That must have been great to, I think, hear that final product. And how you must have heard that a long time ago now. I'm trying to think what Carly said to us. Was it about 18 months ago or something that it was
That
finished
sounds
up or
right.
something like that? Something like that. Yeah,
Could
that
be.
must have been great to hear that final
Yeah,
version
and
come
Jimmy
together.
sent me a link to the entirety of the album at one point, when I think it was like maybe it had been mixed but not mastered, something like that. But he was like, everything is like finalized pretty much. And I listened to it all down in the car, just like on a road trip. And I was like, I'm all the things you guys are describing about you listening to it. And I think that was it you who did a reaction video where you're listening and you're like, you listened to each song and there was like little clips of just like this one we're crying, this one we're shocked. Like that was literally me in the car. Like I was like, I had chills. Like it's just that feeling when you know, like, oh, this is something.
Yeah. We were all messaging each other, like we said, we all had our headphones on, but as we were listening, we were just doing our reactions to each other, like, oh my God, that song is just crazy. Or like, I just cried throughout that whole song. And
I think
yeah,
that
it
was one time when it had all 9 of us in the group chat, because we've got a group chat, all nine Space Cowboys, we've got a group chat together. And I think that was the one time like all of us were like constantly messaging like while we were listening to each song, you know.
Yeah,
That's so
exactly.
fun. That's awesome that you guys have this. You can like connect on this together. That's really cool. It's like a book club, but it's like a music club.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's literally how we described the deep dive episode we did. And we actually had a fan on from the States and a fan on from Germany who came and joined us as well to get some different perspectives as well. And that's the thing. It's, we're obviously a UK team of fans here, but the reaction across the fan base, and obviously we've got friends within, all these other countries, and everyone's been loving it, and people are really taking it so seriously. And I think, what we'll do is continue to promote it and push it and do what we can to help push it forward to make sure it gets the recognition that it deserves, because yeah, we really just want to see what is coming next with it, and we hope that is that concert, and we hope that's in London. But
Yes.
everything crossed, but we love it, and rightly so, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.
Cool. Okay. Well, Lily, we're gonna have to let you go shortly, but before we let you go, we have a bit of a tradition. I don't know if Cardi told you this, But we have a bit of a game that we like to play with our guests when they come on, and Cardi took part and did very well. It's a quick playing with fire questions round, which is a this or that, and Maggie is going to take you through it. So if you're game for it, we'd love to give you some this or that, Maggie.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So it is a little bit playing with fire theme, but there are some random questions in there too. So I think there's 11, 12 questions. Don't think about it too much. Okay, you ready? Okay. Question 1. Elizabeth or Frankenstein?
Elizabeth.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy.
Science or magic?
Magic.
Yeah. Playing with fire or broken?
Broken.
Yes, my favorite. Okay. Cardi gave us a very honest answer with this one. JC or Jimmy?
Oh,
I cannot.
savage.
Plead the fifth.
We know it's cruel.
I mean, Jimmy and I have known each other for such a long time. We've worked together like really closely. So I think if you gave JC, Lily, or Jimmy, like he would probably pick Jimmy, like if he had to choose. So it's like we're all closer to Jimmy.
Okay, we'll take that one.
Answer. 1 point each.
Cardi picked JC.
They've never met either of them in person, I don't think. So they
Yeah,
have the same relationship to both.
That's true.
Perfect.
Okay, question 6. Create life or save lives?
Save lives.
Yeah. Okay, remember who you're talking to here. Broadway or the West End?
West End.
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
Okay, JC's dance moves or JC's vocals?
JC's vocals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a vocal lover girl, so I got you.
Yeah.
Both are good though.
Yeah, both are good. Revenge or forgiveness?
Forgiveness.
Yeah. Play with fire or avoid the flames?
What I would do or what I wish I would do.
What you wish you would do. That sounds more
Find
fun.
the fire.
Yeah. Fish and chips or burgers and fries or burger and fries?
Depends what restaurant I'm at. But
If
I'm
you're in London,
fish and chips.
Of course.
yeah. Well, next time you're in London, we'll take you out for a fish and chip.
Okay,
yeah.
yay.
Yeah. Songwriting or performing?
Performing.
Yeah. And the last question, this is a tough one. You might have to think about it or not. NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys?
I guess I should say NSYNC. I don't really have, to be honest. I wasn't a big boy band girly, so
You have
But just-
I gotta say
Just-
NSYNC because my
You've got to say
loyalty.
it.
Yeah, your loyalty to JC. So you
all
have
about
to.
loyalty. You survived.
Yeah.
Very
Thank you so
good.
much.
Flying
If you ask my
colours.
boyfriend though, he would have like a more. He's over the one who's like, well, the Backstreet Boys had this song, and that I'm like, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
tell him that
Very boy
NSYNC
band.
had Bye Bye Bye. That beats all other boy band songs anyway. So
Classic
In the
because
world,
yeah.
it's standing the test of time with all this Deadpool stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
exactly.
Yeah, totally. Exactly.
Yeah.
Lily, before we let you go, tell us what's coming next for you. What can we expect from you coming up over the next 6-12 months? Or anything you
Well,
can tell us.
I'm in a band called Mantra Gold, and we have been also on a hiatus because two of our members had a baby. But so we're kind of getting back into some stuff. We're doing a shoot this weekend, so we're gonna be, I think, doing a live stream next month. and yeah, some other things that I wish I could talk about, but hopefully I'll be able to soon.
And a
Okay.
concert and a
Oh.
Playing
And the
with
West
Fire
End
concert.
concert. Yeah, and the West End
Exactly.
concert. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
It's gross.
Exactly. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on today and joining us. Honestly, it's been so good getting to know you and really appreciate hearing how your experience has been as part of this project. And just want to thank you again for being part of it and being such an important role, because we really have loved hearing you. And as the girls just said, we're really looking
Absolutely.
forward and keeping everything crossed that we get to see you actually perform this as well. So thank you so much. Everyone needs to obviously make sure they catch you well on your socials, if you're not if you don't mind us pointing people towards you. How can they get in how can they follow you?
Yeah. So Instagram, I'm at Lillionaire, like millionaire. So it's LILLIANAIRE. My last name's not Anair. It's just a play on millionaire.
Love it, love it. Well, go and give Lily a follow, everybody. Make sure you're obviously following us as well. You can find us at NSYNC UK Space Cowboys, and of course you can find our Playing with Fire Instagram accounts, which is PWF Musical _fan page. But otherwise, we hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as we have. Lily, thank you so much, and
Thank
look
you,
forward to seeing you
guys.
soon. Thank
you.
You
you.
guys are
You've
so
been
great.
amazing.
So nice meeting
Thank
you.
you. You too.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Bye-bye.
See you on the West End.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in to the NSYNC UK Space Cowboys podcast. If you loved this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you'll never miss a moment of the action. And did you know you can also stream every episode the second it drops on your favourite music or podcast platform? It's that easy to stay in sync with us. And while you're at it, check out our Instagram page for all the latest NSYNC news, reaction, and announcements of upcoming episodes. Don't miss out, and we'll see you next time.